Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to the COE Pro Bono webinar series by Ellen. And today we are going to witness Power BI dashboard demonstration by Ellen. How to make a Power BI dashboard from scratch from using a data set. Yesterday we have observed a session where Ellen has demonstrated how can we build a dashboard using Excel using the data set. So today we are going to witness the same thing using Power BI.
Hello, sir. Namaste.
Uh,
Maybe
yeah,
you can just mute me.
I am Pawan sir this side.
Hi, Pawan.
okay.
Yeah. Sir, today class based on project है lecture.
Power BI, Power BI.
Power BI.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Stand.
Okay, and also I request all the participants to keep your doubts and questions at the later part of the session, where then we can have a Q&A at end of the session or end of the demonstration. Then we can have an interactive Q&A. Until then, Ellen has already shared the data set, which you can use and practice the hands-on along with Ellen while he is demonstrating. And I request all the participants to stay unmuted unless and until if the host or the speaker has asked or requested you to unmute yourself. Thank you. Over to you, Ellen.
Okay, so thank you very much, Prem Sai. Okay, so if you have a question, my suggestion will be is perhaps you type in the chat box. Okay, you type in the chat box so that I know that you have questions and whatnot. Before we proceed, so can you type number 1 in the chat box if you can hear me? If you can hear what I'm saying and whatnot, just type number 1 if you can hear me, and just type number 2 if you can see my screen. Because right now I'm sharing a screen, so just type number 2 if you can see the screen. Okay. So thank you for those who are typing 1 and 2. So like what we have is we have a data set, right? So this data set, like companies like, there is a companies like Erudite, there is a companies like EES, Empowerment Services, and there is a company called Media Editing Production. So this company is basically a loss-making company. Because for example, if I look at the P&L, it's making losses, negative. All right. So what I want to show to my manager is basically, wait, let me just save this. So profit, I just change this to losses. Okay. Because it's making losses and whatnot. So I'm going to copy this, copy, and then let me just paste it over here. And let me just paste it over here and just change. Okay. So it's a loss-making company. So now what I want to do is I want to show my manager a dashboard, a visualization, the performance of company, and then performance of each companies, and then what is the highest expenses and whatnot. Because this company is making losses, so I want to show to my manager how we can cut the cost and whatnot. So let's get started. Okay. So what I do is I will open my Power BI and I open a blank report. So basically what I want to do is I actually want to import this data. Okay, so I'll just close and save this file and close this file. So what I'll do is I'll share to you all again one more time in the chat box. So once I share in the chat box, so for those who just came in, you can actually refer to the file. My suggestion to all of you is you see the screen first, you see what I'm doing, you see my steps and so on. Then maybe later you can practice and whatnot. Okay, so let's get started. So I will click on import data from Excel because my data source is from my Excel file. And what I'll do is I will just go to the file name 28 September 2024. So this is the file and I press open. So once I press open, you will notice that another box will appear. So we do have like EES, EME, and then we also have Erudite. So I'm going to select this three, EES, EME, and Erudite. So I'm going to click this. So if you notice at the bottom, we do have load, we do have transform data, we do have cancel. If just say cancel means I will straight away cancel, that means I won't import the data from Excel file. When I click transform data, it will go to the Power Query Editor. When I press load, it will automatically load to the Power BI. So you can actually click here transform data to do the cleaning. So what if just say you accidentally press load? When you accidentally press load, automatically the data will be loaded to the Power BI. Okay, so when it load to the Power BI, it will take some time because they will check how many rows, what is the size and whatnot. Okay, so perhaps yeah, if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box, or otherwise you can unmute. Okay, so right now, Right now, what we do have is we do have a data set like EES, EME, and erudite. Okay, so before I proceed, anyone has any questions? Okay, so no questions, so I will proceed immediately. Okay, so right now we do have this data, but it's not so clean because we have column 10, column 11, and whatnot. So we need to clean the data. So if you remember earlier, we need to click transform data. But what if they say you accidentally press load and it automatically load to Power BI? Don't worry, what you can do is you can actually go to transform data over here. You just click on this icon, automatically it will go to the you will go to the Power Query editor. So if this case, the data is not in a good format, okay, it's not in the perfect format, I want to clean my data. So what I'll do is, I will remove the first two columns. I'll press delete. So these columns are deleted. Here we do have revenue items. Here we do have OPEX items. So what I do is I press right click and I'll go to fill down. So once I press fill down, so we do have revenue and we do have OPEX. But what I want to do is in this particular area, I don't want this to be named as OPEX. I want this to be named as net profit or losses. So I go to add column, conditional column. So once I click conditional column, this box will appear. So if just say column 3, okay, it's equivalent. Okay, so not column 3, it's column 4. Why column 4? Because if column 4 has the word net profit, it should be net profit. Otherwise, it should be column 3. Okay, so if column 4 has the word net profit, okay, so you want to put equal also can, equal net profit and then slash and then losses. Okay, and then after that, if just say it has this word, then you should actually choose column number 4. Okay, column number 4. Otherwise, it will be column number 3. So I'm going to put here column number 3. And then I press OK. So once I press OK, so you see here, all is revenue, over here OPEX, and then last one is you have here net profit. So what you can do is you can actually bring it to the front. So I press here right click, and then I go to move to the beginning. So right now, this is our data. So we have revenue, we have OPEX, we have net profit and losses. So what you can do is this column number 3, you can remove this column number 3. So here we have the items, here we have the accounts. Then what I do is I go to transform and I transpose. So my friends, can you type number 3? If you can see here transpose, okay, there's an item called here transpose. So what I want to do is I want to change the shape. So maybe my friends, can you type number 3? Okay, thank you, Rashid, for typing number 3. So what I'll do is I transpose. Why I transpose? Because if you see here, our actual, okay, maybe let me show you again. So I'll just close this. So if you see here, we do have actual, but all here is null, null, null. So I don't want the word null. I want to actually fill down. So what I do is I click transpose. Once I click transpose, so now it looks better. So the first two columns, you can actually remove it. So I'll click this and I remove. So here we have this data, and then I just press here right click and then fill down. So once I fill down, looks okay, but I want to combine these two tables, these two columns. So select the column 3 and select the column 4 and merge. So over the transform here, we have merge column. I merge it. I use, okay, you can use any separator. I'm going to use equal sign. And then what I'll do is I press OK. So now it has combined. Then I go back to transpose. And then you see here, our first row, we have actual P1, actual P2, actual P3. So the thing is, I want to promote as the header. So what I do is, I will go to use first row as header. So automatically it become a header until you see at the end, which is budget year to date. So what I'll do is, these first two columns, basically, I will just press right click and I will unpivot other columns. So that now it becomes unpivot other columns. And this column over here, I want to separate because I want one is actual, one is budget, another column is for the period. So I'll go to split, delimiter, and then press OK. So right now, this is a proper database because you have here, if you notice, we have all in a proper column because initially it was messy like this. Whether you want to load as a pivot table or into pivot Power BI, you need to make sure your database or your data is in a proper table format. So I'll just going to name this as P&L items, P&L items. Okay, here this is what they call as the accounts, or some people will use the word ledgers and whatnot. This is the type because we do have actual and budget. And over here, what we have is we do have the period. Okay, so this is the period. Okay, wait, let me just move up. And this one, I can put it into INR. Okay, so we do have all these database. So we are going to do the same step for these two table. So I'll go to EME. So EME, these two columns not useful, so you can delete this. You can delete these two columns and press delete. So right now it looks okay. And then you press here right click and then you go to fill down. So you have filled down, but of course you don't want the word net profit because you want the item to be a net profit. So you can go to add column, conditional column. So column number 4. So if the column number 4, okay, you want to put equal also can, or you want to put contains also can. If column number 4 has the word net profit, okay, has the word net profit, then it should follow column number 4. Okay, otherwise it will be column number 3. So I just select here and column number 3. And then what I'll do is I'll just press here OK. So once I press OK, so now you see this is how it works. Of course, here will be error. You can just ignore this. Okay, what I can do is I'll just press right click and then I go to move and I move to the beginning. Okay, so you can just ignore this error. So this is revenue, this is OPEX and whatnot. So this column you can just remove. Okay, so now this is how it looks. Then I go to transform and transpose. Why? Because I want to fill down and these two columns also I can remove. So I right click here and then I press fill down. Okay, wait, not fill up, my bad. It's not fill up, it's actually fill down. Okay, so let me just right click and press fill and then down. Okay, so now it says fill down and I want to combine this. Okay, but of course, if you look carefully, we do have other two rows. So what I'll do is I'll just go to home and I'll choose rows, bottom row. Okay, the bottom row I don't want. So I just press 2 rows and then press OK. So now the 2 rows has been removed. And then I select these 2 columns and then I go to transform and then I merge. Okay, so I'll click here merge. And then by equal sign. And then I press OK. So right now these two will merge. You can just ignore these two. And then what I do is I go to transpose. So now it looks better. And then I'll use first row as header. So promoted as a header. Of course, here we have a header. Okay, now maybe what I can do is instead of this arrow over here, let me just change to maybe equals to. So equals. So I have to write the full form. Okay, so this one I'll just put slash and put losses. Okay, and then close bracket and then press OK. So now it looks better. And then now if I promote it as a header, it looks better as well. Okay, it looks better. So I'll select the first 2 column, right click and unpivot other columns. Okay, unpivot and then this column over here, I need to separate. So I'll go to split delimiter and then I press OK. So right now, if you notice, we have done this. So this one also what I'll do is I'll rename this. Okay, so this one, the data over here, I'll just put this as PNL items. Okay, items. This one over here, I'll just change to accounts. And then after that, this one, I'll just change to type. This one, I change to period. And then this one over here, I change to INR. Okay, so of course, this is the data that we have done. So I'll just do some formatting as well. So all these things is basically I'll put into a format called text. Okay, so we do have text. This one I'll put into whole number. Okay, done. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing as well for erudite. So erudite also the same thing. So first 2 columns you remove and then you fill down. So right click and then I fill down. So once I fill down, we are done. So like I told you, this one I want to put a section called net profit. So add column, conditional column. And then if this column, basically column number 4, has the word net profit loss. Okay, I put here net profit slash losses. Okay, so if it has that word, then what I want to do is I want to put it as column number 4. Okay, if it has that word, then it should be equivalent to column number 4. Otherwise, it should be equivalent to column number 3. And then I press OK. So automatically you have this, right click, and then move to the beginning. So this column you can remove. So now it looks better. And then what I'll do is I need to transpose because this data we need to fill down. So transpose the first 2 columns you can actually remove. And this column, you can just right click and then you fill down. Okay, so once you fill down, it looks better. You must combine these two columns and then you go to merge column. And then what you do is you can choose equal sign or whatnot. So I'll choose equal sign. Okay, so this is the data, transpose, first row as header, because here we have column 1, column 2, column 3. I want this to be promoted as a header. So first row as header. So now it looks okay. And then I select these two columns. Okay, so I must check everything's good. So right click and then unpivot other columns. And then this column, I must split. So you can also right click and then you can just go to split, delimiter, and then press OK. So this is the thing. So I'll just put here P and L items. Okay. Over here, I put here accounts. Over here, I'm going to rename as type. Okay. So it's a case sensitive. So this one also I put here period. And then over here, I put here INR. So right now, we do have 3 different tables. So what I want to do is I want to append this. So what you can do is you can go to home and then you can actually go to append queries. You click here, append queries as new. So once you click this, so automatically a box will appear. I want 3 or more tables. And then I select EME, press Shift and EES. So I've selected both and I press add. Then I press OK. So once I press OK, so it has consolidated all the 3 tables into one. But of course, if you look here carefully, when I go to EES, we do have like total revenue. For example, here you see here total revenue, and then we have total expenses and whatnot. So it'll be redundant. That means meaning to say, if just say I go to my Excel file, I also include the gross profit, total revenue. These items I don't want. This item I don't want. So otherwise, it will have a double calculation. Meaning to say, if you see here, the total revenue is 340,000. So can anybody type number 4 in the chat box if you can see this amount over here, this Excel file, 340. Okay, so thank you friends for typing number 4. Basically, what happened is, you see here, the total revenue is 340,000. If just say I include all this is 340,000. But the problem is in the data right now, it is 681. Instead of 340, it is 681. So what we need to do is we need to exclude the total revenue, this total expenses, and this total CGS and gross profit. So what I'll do is I'll go back to this file, to this appended one, and I go to the accounts. I will remove the total. That means the total COGS, total expenses, total revenue, and the gross profit also I don't want. So I'll look for the alphabet G. So G for gross profit. Okay, so let me just press there. And of course, here we have net profit. Okay, gross profit so I don't want. I press OK. So now we have filtered the rows. Okay, but the thing is, I also want another column that shows the company, because here we have append everything, but we don't have by company. So what you can do is you can go to add column, custom column. You add a new column. So this one you can put here company name. Okay, and then I must put here Prostoffi EES, and then I press OK. So right now here you see we do have a company called EES. So I put here in a text format. So automatically in the append, they will have a company. But why here null? Because I never do for EME and erudite. So I have to do the same thing. So that means I have to go to add column, custom column, and I must put the year company. So company, and then after that, Prostoffi, EME. And then I press OK. Make sure the format is correct, which is text. Okay. All right. So there's a chat box. Okay. Voice is breaking. So can you hear me right now? Because I think it's raining in my area. Sometimes it will affect. So maybe you can type number 5 if you can hear me. Okay. So I'll just try to proceed. So is it breaking again? Just say yes or no if it's breaking again, because it's raining heavily in my area. But nevertheless, I'll try to proceed. Just let me know if it's breaking and whatnot. How about now? It's still breaking, my dear friends? You can say yes or you can say no. Or is it okay right now? Okay, how about, is it okay right now? Maybe you can just type it's okay. Or you can just type okay. So now, okay. All right, so no worries. Just let me know if it's breaking and whatnot. So basically what we want to do is we want to consolidate this database. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing also for erudite. I go to add column, custom column, and then I put here company, and then here the name is erudite. Okay, and then I'll just press here okay. So now we do have a company. I put here text. So now if you look in your append one, we have a company name already. That's great. But then the next thing is what I want to do is here we do have some negative numbers. So because I want to show all of it in absolute. So what I'll do is later I'll explain why I put absolute. So I'll click this column, add column, scientific, absolute value. So once I click absolute value, so here you'll have the absolute value. So later we'll do the absolute value and whatnot. And then what I'll do is I'll go to home and I press close and apply. So once I press close and apply, so you will load the data. So now you see, just now you see many columns, but now what happens is it becomes in a perfect condition. Okay, but now if you look here, in this append one, if just say I click PNL items, when I click PNL items, what happens is it will show me data in this format because all the data will be arranged in a alphabetical order. That means like C, N, O, R. In accounting, how does it works is you recognize data by revenue come first, cost of goods sold come first, OPEX come first, then only net profit. So this arrangement is not really correct. So I have to go to this table view and then I have to go to home and I click enter data. So I have to create a new data. So I can just put here items, okay? And I'll name this as revenue. So revenue, and then after that COGS, and then after that OPEX, and last one is net profit. Okay, net profit slash losses. Okay, so this is the thing. And then after that, okay, so this one you can adjust. So this is the thing. And I'll put here number. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I press load. So once I press load, so now we do have a data called table over here. You can actually rename this. Okay, you can rename. So I'll just put here P and L table. Okay, so this is the table. This is the arrangement. So I will click on this item column. I'll go sort by. I want to sort by number. Okay, so once I sort by number, so now it looks okay. So I have to create a connection. Okay, what I'll do is I'll create a connection. So now we do have a table. Wait, let me go to this table over here. Here we have items. Here we have PLN items. So I need to click and drag it, put it at the item so that a connection must be established between this table. So I press save. So right now, if you notice, we do have established a connection between these two tables, this PNL table and the appended one. So right now, when just say I go to this report view, and if just say I click INR, this is the recording, this is the reporting, but it's not in a proper format. So what I need to do is I need to unselect the PNL items and I need to select the items over here. So right now it looks okay. So wait, let me just drag it and put it up. So now it looks better. Okay, we have revenue, COGS, OPEX, and then we have net profit. So this total I don't want. So I go to this format your visual, and what I'll do is I will remove the totals. So these totals over here, I off. So now it looks better. Okay, but of course, I don't want to show in this format. What I want to show is in a proper format. So what I'll do is I will just click on this clustered column chart. And then what I'll do is I will tick on this period and I'll tick on the INR. You see, when you tick this, you will notice that we do have in a very funny manner because what happened is in Power BI, by default, they will show from largest to smallest. By default, they will show largest to smallest. So you need to click on the 3 dotted lines. You go to sort axis. You need to show in ascending order. But even when you show in ascending order, it's in very funny way because from smallest to largest right now. So you need to show them, tell them that instead of sort by the INR, you need to sort by period. But even if we sort by period or so, it's not in a proper format because here we have budget allocated, we have total and whatnot. So even if just say I unselect, that means I unselect all, unselect the budget allocated, unselect the total and year to date, you still will have a very funny way of reporting. So I don't want to show it like this. So the same thing, we want to create a table. So we go to table view and then we go to home and then we create another table. So in this another table, what I'll do is I'll just put here period Okay, so this one is P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7. Period 7 means like July, P8 is August, P9 is September, P10, P11, P12. Okay, so this is our period. And then after that, this is our number. So I'll just put here NO. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12. So this one will be our period table. Okay, our date table and whatnot. Okay, so I'll just press this enter. So now we will have another table, which is period table. So this one also, I need to select the column and I want to tell them instead of sorting this way, I want it to sort. Okay, so I'll go to sort by number. So this is a proper format. Okay, we'll sort by number. So I'll go to this model view. So right now we'll do have another one. So this one, I want to break connection. I'll delete. So basically, I want to create a connection between this period table and this append one. So what I'll do is, I'll go to this period, link it over here. So once you link it over here, and I press save, so the connection has been established. And then I'll go to the report view. I will unselect the period and I will select the period table. Okay, so when I select period, of course, you will notice there's blank over here because we have clear filter and whatnot. And this one also, here we see the breakdown. So what I want from here is basically I'll just change to matrix. Okay, and then here the columns I want to put as the period. So once I put period, of course, you will notice this is the report. But if you see here, we do have a blank column over here. Why? Because if you look carefully, we have period 1, period 2 up to period 12. But there is also total, budget allocated, and year to date. This item also got. So what you can do is, you can actually remove the blank. That means here you go to this period over here, and then you select all and unselect the blanks. So once you unselect the blanks, so now it looks better. So what I'll do is, I'll adjust accordingly. Okay, maybe you want to increase the size also can. So values, I'll just put as maybe 13. Okay, and then I'll remove this, and then column header, so I put 13. Okay, and then row header, so I put 13. Okay, so sound is very subjective. And then what I'll do is, I'll just close all this, and column subtotal, I will just close. Okay, so this looks better. So let me just bring it down. Okay, so now we do have this data. This data, so what I can do is, I'll just click this particular chart, draw it over here. Okay, so now this is the data, and then I'll click a slicer. So I'll choose a slicer, and I want to choose by company. Okay, so we have a company over here. So you want to choose as tiles also can. So I'll put slicer settings, and I'll put a tile. Okay, it's up to you. It's very subjective. So I'll just click this, and yeah, this is the way how you do it. Wait, let me just adjust accordingly. Okay, so this one also I want to adjust. All right, so now it looks better. So what happened is, if just say I will go to click on erudite, so now we do have the performance of erudite, whereby loss making in the period 1 and period 7. If just say I click EME, EME is a loss making department, EES is like this. Okay, so this is how the data looks like and whatnot. So now we do have the big picture. So from this given database, we do have the big picture and whatnot. Then what I want to do is, I also want to show the performance by company. So what I'll do is, I create another table. So in this particular page, I want to show the performance by company. So I'll click on this matrix. And then what I'll do is, I will tick by company. So company means we have EES, EME, erudite. And then under the rows also, what I want to do is, I want to put the PNL items. So I put the items over here. So if just say I expand, okay, I expand all these. So you'll see that we do have all these items over here. Okay, so we have all these items. And then the next step, what you can do is, you can actually take the INR. So when you take the INR, so now this is what it looks like. So this is the sum. So of course, we don't want the subtotal and so on, because here we have a lot of subtotal. So you can go here, and then you can just remove the subtotal. Okay, so even just say I remove the subtotal, so we don't have the subtotal. Of course, this format is not so beautiful. You go to the layout, instead of compact, you can choose tabular. Okay, so once you choose tabular, so this is the format. We have EES, we have EME, and we have erudite. And then what you can do is, you can go to your format, your visual, column is blank. So you can put the period in the column, So of course, over here will be blank. So what you can do is, so in the period over here, you will select all, but you unselect the blanks. So now it looks better. So now this is your performance and so on. Okay, so the performance by company and whatnot. So maybe let me enlarge this so that people can see clearly. And the values, I'll put here 15. Okay, and then after that, the headers also I'll put as 15. Okay, and then after that, row header, so I'll put 15. Okay, so yeah, this is how it looks. So we do have this database and whatnot. So we can see the performance of each companies, how they are performing and so on. Like EES, during the first month, it is profit, but subsequently it's loss making. Erudite, we do have losses and also majority is a profit and whatnot. But EME, the performance is not so good. So this one is the big picture. We see by company, and if we clear filter means we see the performance and also the breakdown. Over here, we see all the companies and whatnot. And then in this page, because basically you want to understand which expenses contributes to the losses. So what you can do is you can click a clustered bar chart. And then after that, what you can do is you can actually take the accounts and take the absolute value. Okay. But of course, we do have net profit and whatnot, right? So what you can do is you can just remove the items over here. So maybe I'll just put the PNL items. I go here, put on the PLN items. I want to unselect net profit, unselect revenue. Okay. So right now we do have this data. So, and of course, I don't want to know everything. What I can do is I'll just put here top end. Okay, top end data. I'll put here the absolute value. Maybe I want to know the top 10 expenses. So I click here. So here we can understand that these are the top 10 expenses. Okay, so top 10 expenses. So if just say I put a slicer over here, a slicer, and I want by company. So if just say I click EES, in EES, marketing and advertising is the highest expenses. If just say EME, this cloud storage, because it's a video editing, cloud storage is the highest expenses. When I tick erudite, the manufacturing and equipment maintenance is the highest. Okay, so you want to put a data label also can. So I'll just tick on data label. So yeah, we have this performance and whatnot. Okay, so these are the top expenses. So if you just say you want to see by the pie chart and whatnot, you can click here. You can click the accounts. Okay, and then you can click the values. So absolute value. So of course here it's not so beautiful. So like I told you, you can put the P&L items. You can just unselect the net profit, unselect the revenue. Okay, so if let's say I clear again, so of course let me just clear. So I unselect, yeah, this is okay. And then if just say you want to know the top 10, so you can go here, top end, and you put here top 10. And then after that absolute value, you link it over here, apply filter. So here we can understand. So if just say I make it smaller, and this one also I make it bigger. Okay, so what we can understand is, so we can see that this one, it contributes about 30% or 35%. If I click erudite, so erudite is the main contributor is the machinery and equipment maintenance. So as an accountant or working in finance, we must understand what is the top contributor, especially in revenue or expenses, because expenses can be in the form of fixed or variable. If fixed expenses means we had no choice, we need to see ways on how we can cut down. If variable means it depends on the performance. It depends on, because a variable is actually correlated with your how many products you produce or what is the service you produce. If I click on EES, so EES, we do have a mixed data, but we notice that so each data like marketing, professional development is contribute to the highest. Of course, in terms of chart, you can make it more beautiful. In page 1, we learn how to make it the performance from period 1 to period 8. And then in page number 2, we see all the companies. In page 3, we see by expenses. Okay. So far, my friends, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, maybe you can just type your question in the chat box. So before we proceed, maybe can you type number 6 if you have learned something new today? Please type number 7 if you understand. And please feel free to type number 8 if you don't understand or you have something to ask and whatnot. Okay. So maybe I'll just type again. Number 6 if you have learned something new. Number 7 if you understand. Number 8 if you don't really understand or you want to ask anything or whatnot. Okay, so that I can actually repeat for you. So if there's no questions, then I will pass the floor to Prem Sai. So Prem Sai, over to you. All right, so if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, perhaps we can end the session. Okay, so maybe what I'll do, I'll pass the file in the chat box. So the file I'm sending right now is a Power BI file. So it's already in the chat box. So if you have any questions, you can ask. If no questions, then perhaps we can end the session. Okay, guys, thank you so much. If no questions, so thanks for attending this session. So I hope you have learned something. See you when I see you. Thank you, everyone.
totally million rupees.
Okay.
This is the Google Pay number.
Google Pay.
That is 9632.
1 second.
Oh. 106, no?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, 963
963.
282
Hmm.
8853. Tapan Kumar.
Hmm.
How much?
516.
51.
Oh, you are maintaining book, everything.
Everything is
Everything.
auditable. Yeah.
One person you have account. Okay, nice.
One person donation is Durga Puja purpose. It is not the.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sir. Kindly participate with, join with us and
Yeah,
enjoy
because my kids and families are going, I will join.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. అమ్మా మోక్షి ఇది ఎవరు ఓపెన్ చేశారు? మోక్షి అమ్మా ఇది ఓపెన్ చెయ్యొద్దమ్మా, ఇది ఓపెన్ చేయొద్దు. ఇందులో నా గ్యాస్ బుక్స్ స్లిప్స్ అన్నీ ఉన్నాయి. మోక్షి మోక్షి ఇది ఎవరు ఓపెన్ చేశారు? ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నారు? తీయొద్దు. ధ్రువమ్మ తీయొద్దమ్మా ప్లీజ్.